Hi guys, I wanted to post a video pretty well right away after the other one. Just to kind of where I got the ball rolling now. I just want to keep the momentum going. So I want to focus on this video about terminology. There are so many different terms thrown around when it comes to allergies. It gets really overwhelming and very confusing for people. And frankly, to be completely honest, I'm not a fan of not so much the terminology, but the abuse, the overuse, the misuse of the terminology and the confusion it has created. The terms in themselves, wonderful. It's the ignorance again, and ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to allergies. If you are in an industry, you are providing food, you're providing a service to people, you should know what an allergy entails. You should know the risks, you should know the complications, you should be able to say in uncertain terms yes or no to the either the ingredient itself being an allergen, the cross-contamination risks. If I go into a restaurant and I ask a waiter, does this contain dairy? If they answer me no, there should be no casein, no whey, there shouldn't be any trace of any kind of dairy byproduct. But unfortunately, that is not the way things work. So I wanted to touch base on the usage of terms, the misuse of terms, and realistically what they should mean versus what they really are. So the most popular is dairy-free or egg-free or even gluten-free. Abused to the heavens this term is, which is why whenever I sell a product or I meet a customer, I'm very careful in describing why my product is free of those. And until the person has that contact and hears from me that I have an anaphylactic allergy, that I have an egg sensitivity, the security is not there. So that's why no matter where my business may take me, I will always try to keep that direct contact with my customers for the simple fact to give you the security, to give you the true confirmation and the guarantee that it is dairy and egg free. Right now, it is totally popular to have a dairy-free product, an egg-free product, a nut-free product, a gluten-free product. But I'm here to tell you, no matter the terminology, free, non-friendly, nothing is secure. Nothing is guaranteed. Yes, technically, when it comes to I have been in contact with Canadian labeling. And I've researched this a little bit in the last week or so, just in preparation for doing my videos with you guys. Technically, everything is supposed to be disclosed on a label. Even if there is a chance to say a product is dairy-free, but then in the warnings underneath the ingredient list to say may contain traces, that's not allowed in Canada. But research, I do follow a few vlogs and blogs and online, and I know Ben & Jerry's has come out with a non-dairy ice cream. But from my readings on it, again, it's in the US, so they're not as strict as Canada. Thankfully, Canada's a little bit more strict. And I'm sure they're working on that. But apparently this non-dairy ice cream is processed in a facility that does process dairy. But apparently it is sanitized. I don't know to what degree that sanitation is. I don't know if that totally eradicates any possibility of cross-contamination. But for someone like me who is anaphylactic to dairy, it is extremely concerning. So I did pose the question. I'm just getting my email. I did pose the question to CFIA here locally, which is Canadian Food Inspection Agency, just because I have seen that Ben & Jerry's ice cream in our local coolers. And I did bring it to their attention of what I had read when it comes to the US and how it is processed in the same facility. And they did assure me that products that are sold from the US here in Canada are required to be labeled according to our acts and regulations. If a company is intentionally adding an ingredient, it must be declared in the list of ingredients, and if any allergens are present, they must be declared either in the list of ingredients, in a separate contains statement, or both. It is not acceptable for a naming the allergen-free, so say dairy-free, claim to be used in conjunction with any may contain naming that same allergen. So I couldn't sell a gluten-free product and then put a warning on the bottom saying, hey, there may be gluten in this. That's not okay by CFIA standards. The combination of these two statements is considered to be misleading and is to the composition of the food. So they're saying if Ben & Jerry's are making the non-dairy claim, it is their responsibility to ensure that no ingredients contain milk are added either intentionally or due to cross-contamination. But that's still there, in my opinion. There's a gray area. So me personally, I do make gluten friendly. Now, I'm not a big fan of that term, no, by no means. But I'm just trying to find a different term than non. And honestly, the more I've researched here lately, I may turn that term into non. Because at least with a non, you're saying that it's not added. Dairy-free, essentially, in my opinion, in my terms, dairy-free should be free. Completely free. Cross-contamination, zero. Any risk of dairy being in that product shouldn't be. There should be. In order to call something dairy free, it should be 100% guaranteed free. The same goes for egg free, gluten free, nut free. You should not have any risk of that in that product. But when it comes to non, there's a little bit more of a, I guess, gray area with non, or it gives a little bit more leeway to that manufacturer. It's basically saying they didn't intentionally add it, but they're not guaranteeing that it's not in there. So the Ben & Jerry's, the fact that they call it non-dairy ice cream is alarming to me. So I would never buy that product as an anaphylactic dairy sufferer. That product would not be suitable for me, simply in the fact that non does not give me a guarantee of dairy-free. Now, any other product dairy-free? Sure. Because generally, even though I always contact the manufacturer, I still would trust a dairy-free claim over a non-dairy claim. Again, with friendly, people have different terminologies. People use it in different ways. For me, friendly is saying, like with me, I make a gluten-friendly cupcake. That means gluten is used in my home. Gluten is used in the same pans, in the same utensils. Though they are cleaned and sterilized, I do not guarantee zero cross-contamination because gluten is used in my kitchen. And as you know, flour particles are minuscule. They get in everything. So for me to say my product or any product that comes from my kitchen is gluten-free would be false and would be misleading and would put someone at serious risk, undue risk, to sell something. That's not what my business is. So I know some people don't like the term friendly, but for me, it was trying to find a word that is not abused and misused at this point. Again, like I said, I may turn that into a non-gluten statement later on because the more I've researched, non is a little bit more accurate. So, and then touch on the vegan aspect of it. Most people say to me, hey, you're dairy and egg free, so vegan must be safe for you. And it really isn't. Most vegan products like that I pick up may contain modified milk ingredients, may contain whey. So you have to read everything. And if when in doubt, call the company. Most companies have a 1-800 number on the bottom of their label, and you can contact and get someone in customer service. I know for me, one example for me, when I started Moolah's Morsels, I was trying to find a colorant, a cost-effective colorant for coloring my cupcakes and decorating. And when I've looked at the Wilton has, if you go to Michael's or anyone pick up a Wilton colorant, gel colorant package, on the bottom it says it may contain modified milk ingredients, eggs, peanuts, I do believe as well. So I couldn't use Wilton colorant, but I called them just to make sure that maybe, because labeling can change from state to state, to Canada to US. So it's always best, when in doubt, call. So I called Wilton and I spoke to them about their manufacturing processes. And they said while the dairy and the egg is not present in the actual ingredients of that gel colorant, it is processed on the same line as products that use dairy and egg or dairy ingredients. And lately it came to my attention, a customer brought to my attention that a local bakery is using Wilton Colorant, but they are advertising as nut-free, sometimes gluten-free, you know, so, and it's brought to my attention they use Wilton Colorant. I have no control over what anybody else does, but I can only educate you to say that Wilton is not safe for a dairy allergy. It is not safe for an egg allergy. I personally order my colorant through the US. I have been in contact with that manufacturer and continue every now and then I check, because at any time a product can change manufacturing practices, can change facilities. Sometimes they're shared facilities. So just because a product is safe today may not be safe in 2 weeks' time. So it's always best to read your labels, read your warnings, and when in doubt, call. I spoke to the company I use for colorant. Have spoken to them personally, and they have guaranteed me it's not in the same facility even, let alone on the same line. So while I'm sure people roll their eyes at me sometimes, this is what I do. This is how I stay alive. This is how I provide a product that is safe, that is guaranteed dairy and egg free. Those are the three most popular terms: non, dairy free, and friendly. So non, free, and friendly. Where I'm free is what I would love people to use, but use it correctly. If you are manufacturing dairy or egg or gluten in the same facility, you should not ever claim any product produced in that same facility is free of either of those products, because technically there are risks for cross-contamination. Inadvertently and totally accidentally, someone can take a spoon from a product that has dairy in it and mix that non-dairy, and no one knows the difference until a child consumes it and goes into anaphylactic shock. Then, you know, that's a loss of a life, or a potential loss of a life, that is unnecessary for the sake of $1. So I'm hoping that through this channel and through these discussions and through me kind of giving my thoughts on things, you can realize that sometimes if you go into a business and say, that's dairy free. Okay, so what makes it dairy free? Do you manufacture anything else with dairy in your facility? And if they say, yeah, we do, well, it is impossible. It's impossible for them to give you that guarantee, unless that is manufactured in a completely different kitchen where dairy has never been present in that kitchen. That's impossible. So, you know, I don't want to down on anyone else and what they're trying to do, and I'll be the first to be elated to see a dairy-free product, because all the years of going without. But when you present someone with a product, make sure it's an accurate representation of what is in it or what could have contaminated it. So if you have any questions, you can feel leave them down below, like and subscribe. I hope I've touched on what you should and shouldn't do when it comes to these terms. But the long and the short of it is, when in doubt, call the number provided. Read your ingredients every single time. My fiance laughs at me. He was like, Erin, you ate that 2 days ago. Why are you reading the ingredients again? And I've explained to him, at any time, facilities can change. Food practices can change. And I cannot just leave that to it should be free. It was free. It was fine last time I ate it. I'd be in big trouble if I thought that way. And I hope by these discussions, I can retrain your brain to always, not to be paranoid, but to always get that assurance, to always ask a second time, a third time. And if you're getting an answer that's kind of wishy-washy, you ask again, rephrase it, ask again. There's never going to be a chance for me to ever reiterate that more and really make you understand. It is that important. I have seen it, I have heard it, and where the free product is so popular right now, everyone's getting on that bandwagon. Everyone wants to have that allergen-free product when in actuality it's not. So you can send me a message, you can write down below, I'll answer any questions you have, and hopefully this has been educational. Thank you.